It's Victor with VentoBot, and in today's episode, we're going to talk about how to map out content creation so that you know exactly what to do and when to do it, and you're not having to think about where the next piece of content is coming from. It doesn't have to be sporadic. You know exactly when and how to do it. Now, before we begin, if you're looking for never-ending leads, go on over to ventobot.com/book to get a copy of the book for free. Just cover shipping. I'll send it right over to you. I send these out personally. These are the same 4 phases we take our private clients through to generate never-ending leads when they work with us. So that way you can start implementing yourself. Now, back to how to map out content creation. And it's really important to understand, and I've done this over the past couple of days with a couple of clients personally, that you need to understand the milestones, right? The different milestones. I say there's 4 here, but there could be 3, there could be 5. Usually it's no more than that, between 3 to 5 milestones. And that is where you create your pillars, your pillar content pieces. And that is essentially, for example, M4, so milestone 4, this person is now ready to start seeing things like testimonials, things like YU, and I'll tell you the reason for this is because now this person is the closest to working with you. They have moved through these different milestones, and at this point, they are now ready to actually say, oh, okay, this Victor is the person I want to work with because he's worked with X client before and he's gotten that result. That's the type of result I want. That's why. And then why me? Because I've helped get that type of result in the past. Event planners come to me to be able to generate leads and help fill their events. Coaches come to me to help generate leads and fill their sales calendar with potential sales calls. I have testimonials based around that. People who host challenges come to me to help fill the challenges and map out the challenges so that they convert on the back end. So that I have testimonials regarding that particular piece, and that is how you do it. So it looks like we got Brandon on here. So hey, Brandon, what's up? But essentially, this is how we do it. So this is what we did for a client recently. They're in the fitness space, and they work with dads mostly, and parents really over 40. And essentially, we mapped this out for them. And then we kind of started saying, like, now when you go live, when you go to create content, you want to focus on one pillar. And this one pillar, then you can gear your call to action. If your call to action is always to schedule a call with you, think about it. If you're talking about to this person right here, you're saying, hey, I helped so-and-so lose X amount of pounds and keep it off, and they didn't have to give up anything, and they didn't have to get a gym membership. They actually did it at home because they're busy parents traveling all the time, or whatever that was, and this is how they did it. To schedule that call, we can see exactly what it looks like for you. Now, let's go to the front end of that, right? Let's look at M1. These are the people that are the farthest away from ever working with you. And the reason you want to start talking to these people too, it's important all across the board, because this person will eventually, by the time they get here, will actually be the best person to work with you. So for example, this person over here is completely unaware of where they are going, right? They don't even know what it is you have to offer. This parent thinks that you have to go to the gym all the time, right? I'm using my client as that particular example. This parent has no idea that you can actually do 15-minute workouts 3 to 5 times a week at home and get similar results for that type of person, right? The person who's in their 20s, 30s may not be looking for that, but 40s and up may be looking for something like that. They didn't know. They think they're under this mindset of like, I have to go to a gym, I have to dedicate that time, I have to give up all the foods that I love. So then when my client goes to create content around this person, they focus around what is possible, right? Here are our 15-minute workouts, for example, that you can do it by yourself. Did you know that you could, this is usually around like the, did you know you can do this? Did you know that this is possible? Have you ever thought about things like this? That's usually this type of pillar or milestone, because it allows that person to be like, oh, wow, okay, so I'm gonna start following this person. And if our call to action is a call, Now, we talked about this person and said, like, this is how I can help you. Let's get on a call to look at the specifics for you. If you're having a call to action of a call for this person, you're talking about like, hey, if you want to actually jump on a call to ask specific questions on if something like this could actually work for you, what have you ever done, or what type of workouts do you do right now? What kind of movements do you need to work better at? Can you move better? Can you eat better? Things like that. That is how we start creating those milestones and moving someone across into working with you eventually, right? So at the beginning, this is the more content you create around one of these pillars, the better, because then you start moving people from pillar 1 to pillar 2 to pillar 3 to pillar 4 to finally working with you. Those turn into testimonials to feed this, that turn into more content to feed this, and it just works backwards and feeds itself that way. So this is how to do it. For example, in my case, these people, the people that are unaware, they have grown their business through organic social media or organic speaking on stages or networking or going to events that way. And that is how they've grown their business successfully to a certain point. They don't know the power of Facebook ads. They don't know the power of paid traffic yet. They may have heard of it. They may have seen it around, but they don't really know the power of it. So when I create content around this particular section here, for example, this right here, how to map out content, this is more of my level 2 here, because this person is taking more of what they already know and applying it here. But we'll get to that in a second. So here, instead, they're unaware, what do they need to know is kind of a question you need to answer. What mindset shift do they need to make? And those are generally the questions you start to focus on around this milestone 1, right? Creating them aware of the problem that they might actually need solving. Again, if you, and that's before I forget, if you go on over to venturebot.com/book to get the book, we talk about this in the first phase, where we go over the fawn grid, which is the fear, aspirations, the wants and needs. And that is essentially how we start understanding what these people want, and we create content about what they want, and this is what they're unaware of, because we know what they need, but they want something, right? The people that come to me, I know that they need an online traffic strategy to actually start generating leads online. However, what they want is to scale their business past that certain point. They're kind of hit a ceiling. They don't know what to do next. So what they want is to be able to generate more leads, to scale faster. And so I create content around that. And that is essentially how you create that first milestone. Now, the second part of it is milestone 2. This milestone here is really focused around now more of the like quick actions. What can they do on their own? For example, like I have a Facebook ads checklist. That way, if you're looking to run Facebook ads, this is how I set it up for our clients. And it's essentially my checklist I give to you, and it's like, follow the checklist, fill it out, and then as long as you follow it out, follow the checklist, you'll be able to set it up ads the way we do, right? It's obviously most people don't want to do that and push those buttons and pull those levers on the back end of Facebook ads. If you've ever been back there, it's pretty horrific. It's really slow, and don't even get me started. But that is essentially how we do, right? We set it up on the checklist first, and then we just copy everything ads manager to be able to start running those ads. And that is how I create that content. Milestone 2 is usually the quick wins. Things that people talk about this a lot, like provide value, provide value, provide value. Most of the time people say that, a lot of people don't even know what the hell that means. So what that actually means is giving insight. And insight is essentially saying, here's something that you can do right now, and this is the result that you'll get when you do it. So when it comes to my client, for example, in the fitness space, if you do these 3 workouts for 15 minutes for the next 2 weeks, you will get X result. It's a very quick, that's the value that he gave to his audience, because at that point, they take that action and they'll get that result without them ever having to actually work with him. And for me, it's very similar. I have chatbot templates. I have Facebook ads checklists. I have Facebook ads templates. I have things like that. These are what you would consider lead magnets. And we've talked about this in the past before of how to create in another episode, but essentially these are the quick wins. So this is here, your quick wins. And then again, if we want to focus that call to action at the end, let's say it's a call, it's like, hey, get my Facebook ads checklist. And if you want to jump on a call to actually go over it to understand what questions you have for your ads, then we'll jump on a call and we'll actually go over your ads following that checklist, and then we'll answer everything from there and we'll get it running for you, right? Now, I've tailored that call to action to this milestone. I've tailored the testimonials to this milestone. I've tailored the unaware of what they want, creating what they need to this call to action. And that's essentially how you start creating content, as long as you always focus on one of these milestones. Again, what is this one here? This is more of a mixture of the two here. This is more of the same, like kind of, here's the quick wins, but a little bit more. Usually this is more of like a, what's their initial way of working with you without having to actually work with you. And the old, like Frank Kern likes to call it the old help them by actually helping them trick. And the way to do this is essentially the lead magnets with your testimonials. And you do that by saying like, here, for example, I've used this as like challenges or like, but again, you want them to take this action. The majority of the people in milestone 3 are often thinking, sure, I've seen it work for other people. I've seen it work for like them, and I've done everything I can in the past. Why does this work? Why will it work for me? Does it really work for me? Like, how do I know if it's going to work for me? What can I do on my own that's going to help it show me that it might work for me? That's usually what they're in. These people are more in like a mindset of like, I don't know yet. I don't know if it works for me. It works for everyone else except for me. So we need to get them winning themselves before we get them winning with us. And so that is essentially how we talk to these people in milestone 3. And then finally, milestone 4 is more transitioning of like, hey, I've done this in the past before. Do you want to move even faster? This is how to do it. There's going to be a very small percentage of people in this milestone 3 that will probably never move into milestone 4 to work with you, because they're the ones who are like, these are your outliers, the ones who are like, oh, I got it. I'm going to do that and take it myself. And then they just take off and they do what it is they want. Essentially, that is what you want. The best way, obviously, you and I need to work and need to like feed our families and everything like that. So we want people to work with us. However, we more importantly want to help people. So if we're able to help these people, the outliers take off and do it themselves, great. But the majority of the people will move into this milestone 4 where they now start looking for like, who can help me? Who is the one who's going to get me there faster? And that's how we start to actually allow them to move forward. So again, that's essentially how we map out content. And it's funny that I was at a recent mastermind a couple of weeks ago, and someone mentioned a website that I use all the time that I never actually thought to share to the public, but it's actually called answerthepublic.com, and that's something that I use all the time to help map out pieces of content here. For example, I type in, let's say, Facebook ads or chatbots or content creation or funnels, and then it spits out a ridiculous amount of questions that people have. And that is essentially all you do. You categorize them in one of these 4 milestones, 3 to 5 milestones. Remember, I'm just using 4 just because it makes sense. It fits on the board. But that way, if it's 5 milestones, great. You categorize them into which milestone they are, and then you focus on that piece of milestone or pillar when you create content. So for example, someone asked the question of how do I create a Facebook ad? So like, those aren't the people that are here for me. Those are the people that are way over here for me. So I answer that question on Facebook Live, and I go from there, and then I ask that. Now, before I forget, if you're serious about generating never-ending leads, go on over to bentobot.com/book to get a copy of the book. Just cover shipping. I'll send it right over to you. It's the same 4 phases we take our private clients through to start generating never-ending leads online. Now, if you're serious about all of that, take this and start mapping it out yourself. It's super simple to do. Again, you create a grid of 4, 3 to 5. I'm using 4. You can then start mapping out. These people are unaware. These people need some action, some quick wins, some like starter steps. What's the first step, A to B, the smallest step they can take on their own? These people need a little bit more. What's the next big step they can take on their own? And then transitioning from like, does it really work for me? You got to overcome that objection. And then at milestone 4 is when they start becoming like, who's the one's going to help me? Are you the one that's going to actually help me? And how are you going to be the one that's actually going to help me? So that is how you move people, and that is how you start creating content that actually provides value. And I'm sure you've heard that. If you're anything like me, you've heard that plenty of times, and you start to wonder, like, do people really know what that means when they say like provide value? And this is what that means, right? So make sure that you guys do this. You do this tonight so that you can actually start to map out your content and then go live as often as you need to be able to do that. Now, if you're serious about generating never-ending leads, go on over to ventobot.com/book to get a copy of the book. I'll send it right over to you. Or you can click on the group, and that will allow you to get the resources that we have for the people that buy the book. Additionally, I go live in there specifically to go over stuff like this and help people even more. I talk about new updates to certain things like Facebook ads, chatbots, funnels, etc., etc. So until next time, I will see you, Victor, with Ventobot.